To this week's press conference. Going back, it seems like normally in these press conferences I cover the last one and then the upcoming one, what we have. It seems like forever ago, 5 days ago now, that we finished with this Rutgers game, with it being a Thursday night. The pain still doesn't go away. It doesn't make it go away, and I've said this before, it won't go away until we have the opportunity to get on the field again. But it's a shame when you go back and watch that film as many times as we have at this point, because we had so many guys play an excellent football game. I thought defensively, I thought we played really well and did some really good things. We just didn't do it probably as consistently as we would like to do, and then we couldn't get off the field on third down, which was really an Achilles heel for us last Thursday, was being able to get off on third and long. And they had 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 11s, 3rd and 12s, but we couldn't get off the field on third down, which made the day a little bit longer than we wanted it to be on defense. And offensively, that we weren't able to really move the ball any better than we were. And with the 5 turnovers, it's costly. I mean, you turn the ball over 5 times. I think the Patriots, or I think the Broncos would take a couple back from last night. When you look at all of a sudden the end of the first half with some of the interceptions that they threw. But you got to be able to eliminate the turnovers if you want to be successful. And like I said, some guys played really well. I thought BJ offensively played an excellent football game. BJ Daniels did. I know when you look at it statistically, he's got 3 interceptions in the statistical category, but I really thought he played a great game. I thought he competed his tail off. And there was a number of times we did not give up a sack, but it certainly wasn't because there was no pressure. With as many loops, twists, and blitzes that they brought, I thought BJ handled himself very well in the pocket and scrambling out of there and trying to make some things happen and kept a number of drives alive. It's unfortunate 2 of his interceptions just bounced off receivers' hands, one off Evan Landy and one off Demetrius Murray, that were turnovers. But it's just unfortunate, like I said, and even as bad as it was and as many things as we would love to change, with 6 minutes to go in the game, we had a tie score, and we had the football, and we just weren't able to convert from 75 yards away, and that's the thing that was unfortunate about it. But I hate to lose, and as much as you hate to lose, the only thing we can do with that one is learn from it and put it behind us. Put it in the rearview mirror and start moving forward. And we're on to Ball State. We've got to get ready for Ball State at this point, which is Pete has got them playing really well right now. They're a 2-1 football team. They just came off a very big emotional win with Indiana on a last-second field goal where they won 41-39. They're playing very well right now. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They're scoring a lot of points. I think it starts with their offense, with their quarterback. They are the 14th best rushing team in the country, I believe they are, at about 260-some yards. They have 472 yards a game that they're averaging, and they've played teams like IU, Clemson. I mean, they've played some really good football teams, scored 27 points on Clemson. I think their offense is very good. They're averaging 5.7 yards a rush. You look at their numbers, and they're really pretty gaudy offensively. They have a 3rd-year starting quarterback who is doing an excellent job of running the football team. Their offensive line is very experienced, and they've got a little wide receiver who's very athletic and making a lot of things happen for them. They are putting a lot of points up on the board. I think the lowest they scored was 27, and that was against Clemson, who's a top 10 ranked football team right now. Defensively, they're kind of going through some changes from where they were a year ago. A year ago, they were in their first year in the program, playing a lot of zones, sitting back, kind of letting things happen, trying to keep the ball in front of them, where this year they're taking a much more aggressive approach, playing more man coverage, blitzing more, being a lot more aggressive. As a matter of fact, when you watch the film, the IU film in the second half, they probably looked really similar in a lot of ways to what Rutgers does. With the movement of the defensive front and the aggressiveness of the linebackers. They're a very physical group. They've got 3 starting linebackers that are all back. They do a really nice job. They're their 3 leading tacklers. I think their defense is really solid. Their special teams, their field goals kicked, I believe it was 2 over 50 yards, kicked the game winner last week against IU. Their punter averaged over 50 yards a punt at Clemson. Strong-legged. I mean, they have a very solid kicking game. They have a good football team, and like I said, it would be a great challenge for us. We don't have time to have a pity party or put our head in the sand. We're going to go play a good football game, and the best thing we could do about last week's game is put it in the rearview mirror and move forward. And right now I think we had a spirited practice today. I don't know if it was spirited because it rained and we only got to be on the field for about 45 minutes to an hour before we were taken off the field with lightning, but it was a very spirited practice. I think the mindset and the energy of these players, they're upset. They realize that we didn't put our best foot forward, and that's disappointing for all of us in the program, as hard as everybody's worked, that we weren't able to go out and play better and do a better job protecting the ball in our conference opener at home. But like I said, we'll move forward to Ball State. Anybody have any questions?
Skip,
Okay, thank you.
You talked
Go ahead.
talked about the third down defense, and when you set yourself up in those third and longs and can't get off the field, do you think that can have a more fatiguing feel?
Frustrating, yeah, because you feel like first and second, it's loss of 1, loss of 2, and it's 3rd and 12, and you feel like, all right, big play here, D. I mean, you feel like you're going to win the majority of those, and it's draining. I mean, all of a sudden it's like, God, we let them out. We let them out. And then you do it again on first down, again on second down. The one scoring drive they had, I think they converted 3 third longs right in a row. And yeah, it has a little bit of a psychological take on you, but I think where we are as a defense right now, I think we're close. I mean, so many times when you break it down, it's one guy gets out of his zone and you look at it and you've got 11 guys where they're supposed to be. We didn't run a lot of games up front. We got hurt the week before with the quarterback scrambling. We wanted to try and keep him in the pocket, and I thought the D-line did a good job of their pass rush lanes and keeping the quarterback confined. And I thought for the most part people were in the windows they were supposed to be in, but it only takes one to run with number 2 vertical instead of go to the flat, and it leaves a zone wide open. And it was as much our mistakes as it was that they converted. I mean, I give them a lot of credit. They threw and caught the ball, but we made it a lot easier than it should have been for them to convert on some of those third and long situations. And those are we've got to sit and look at, what we're doing and who we're doing it with. Are we too confusing? Are we not paying attention to the details and the little things? Or do we need to find somebody else maybe that can go in and play that zone coverage? So a lot of things that we're looking at right now with possibility on whether or not we make any changes or not.
You talk a lot about being 1-0 and going on a 1-0 week.
Yep.
How tough is that to do after a loss and when you have Florida State coming up?
I really, probably easier after a loss to go back to basics and say, okay, let's get to 1-0. We don't need to be thinking about Florida State. We need to be thinking about Ball State. And I think a loss helps you do that. It brings you back. Okay, what do we got to do? We've worked too hard. We want to be good. How do we got to improve? It's not about, Ball State. And look at Florida State. I think a lot of people have the luxury to look forward at a schedule. We talk about the schedule the very first day we report. From then on, it's about winning this week, and that's what we've got to do. This will be a challenge for us. Ball State's a good football team. You put on the film, you watch them against Clemson, and you kind of tailback rushes for 100 yards. They score 27 points, and all right, they got our attention. You watch them against IU. They have 500 yards of offense. They put up 41 points against a Big Ten team, moving the ball up and down the field, throwing it extremely successful, running the ball very well. I don't think we have any problem right now keeping our eyes right where they need to be, which is on Ball State.
What have you seen differently from this Ball State team compared to last year?
Well, the more aggressive defensively. Like I said, defensively they've changed their mindset. They've changed their formula for success. They're not just sitting back. They're being much more aggressive with what they're doing. They're trying to force the issue with their defense and a lot more pressure-oriented things than they've been in the past, than they were a year ago. And so that's probably one of the big things. And then offensively, a third-year starting quarterback who's throwing the ball much better, the emergence of the young wide receiver who's athletically doing some things, and then the offensive line being in the system for another year. They're doing pretty much the same things offensively. They're just executing a whole lot better this year.
Is there anything you
the offensive line consistency is due to new guys in the lineup trying to put their feet under?
I would say, the two new guys, really, when you look at really new guys, the center, Austin Ryder and Darrell Williams did not play very well. Sometimes you get in a game like that, you can look at their talent and what they're doing in practice and get real excited about it. But when the TV lights get clicked on and everything starts moving and they're coming from the field and the boundary, you start seeing ghost a little bit. Then you get passive. Then you're kind of playing on your heels, and they did not play very well in their opening conference game. They played hard. They went out there. They played hard. They tried to play physical. But I think they got a little bit confused, and part of that's on us as well as coaches. I'm certainly not just blaming them. Part of that is on us to make sure we simplify it. Somebody once told me you have to teach to the slowest student. You can't teach to the fastest student, so he gets it. Because as a football team, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and if you have 4 offensive linemen doing what they're supposed to do and one guy that's confused, then it's going to be a long day. And we had a couple of them up there that were confused, and that's on us. And so, like I said about the secondary, we got to look at what we're doing. How do we simplify things with a couple young guys that are out there? We didn't do anything that we haven't been doing all camp. But when you're going against a team as different and as aggressive as Rutgers, you really even need to simplify it even more. But I don't think it was so much, well, that one guy killed us. I just don't think our offensive line played very well as a group, as a whole. And I take that there was an awful lot of pressure on BJ, pressure that should not have been there. Where everybody was accounted for, we had a hat on a hat. It wasn't a structure problem that got us, but we had too many of those.
It was more preparation than we got to change our personnel or look at some things. You still like your personnel, you just got to get them better ready to play.
Yeah, I think there were some concerns that were brought up in that game. Is everybody ready for this level? Is everybody ready for this, the full speed actions of the game, especially when you have a guy like Mark Popek and Damian Edwards that are 2 guys that are there that are both seniors that have played a little bit of football for you, that we've got to look at, what is the right mix right now. But again, I don't even know, I wouldn't say it's necessarily preparation, because maybe we could have been a little bit simpler, but we didn't do anything we didn't do differently all year. It's just, you never can tell. You can height them, you can weight them, you can do all that, you can look at their speed, but how are they going to respond when the lights go on and things go against them and they get hit in the mouth? How do you compete then as an 18-year-old young man? I've been on a sideline before where I had an 18-year-old freshman start crying. It's like it's overwhelming for them. You just don't ever know how they're going to respond to it. And wasn't probably the turnout that we wanted, but we've got to take where we are and we've got to go from here. But we learned a lot about our football team Saturday.
Yes, sir. When you say that Ball State defensively looks like Rutgers in the same kind of attacking scheme, is that a good thing because you're preparing for something similar 2 weeks in a row, or is it a bad thing because it wasn't necessarily solved last week?
No, I think it's a good thing. And you always, anytime you play a football game, if there's something you didn't handle on film, that's what our Sunday night is all about, corrections. Because whatever you didn't handle on film, you're going to see again. Whatever you don't handle offensively or defensively. If there's a pass play, they ran 5 times and they were 5 for 5, you better get it corrected because you're going to see it the next week. Whether they have it in or not, they're about to put it in. So that's what Sunday night is all about, is corrections. And so, it's I don't think it's a bad thing. We've seen a lot what they did to us, what Rutgers did. They do very similar. Ball State runs a lot of the same things. And so I'm sure we'll see a lot of that. It's one of those, if you step up, pick it up and protect it and hit the open receiver, then it'll go away and you won't see it anymore. If you don't, then it's gonna keep coming. And I don't think we handled the pressure very well Thursday.
You talked about, go back to the offensive line, you talked about the younger kids. How specifically can you coach them up? Is it pats in the back, kicks in the butt? And how do you get them from making sure they get better and not bitter when you start talking about them?
No, I think everybody's different. I think that's part of coaching. You have 115 young men in that locker room. I have 2 boys at home, and I father them very differently because they have 2 different personalities. I've got one that I can just look at, and he'll be like, "I'm sorry," and I've got one that probably lied through his teeth, to me. That said, "It wasn't me," I promise. So they're all different. And so I think it's just like being a football coach. You've got 5 offensive linemen, and they're all different. And what the 23-year-old 5th-year senior that's been through a lot of battles, that's played in a lot of games, That type of guy, he may be a little bit more thick-skinned, where maybe the 18-year-old freshman playing his first game, you're going to have to sit down and talk with them and walk them through some of those things. So I think it's all different. It's predicated on the young man that you're dealing with.
Is there anything that could be a quick fix, or is it something that this games of experience is gonna take?
I think there's some, here's where I'm encouraged. Physically, I want to say this the right way, physically, we didn't have a breakdown that gave up the pressure. We did not have a physical breakdown that gave up the pressure. We had some confusion that gave up pressure. And I'd much rather be in that boat, because the only way you're going to eliminate the physical one is to start recruiting. And that one takes a little longer. You know what I mean? It takes a little longer to fix. But if it's just mental, we can fix that. We can go do walkthroughs, and this guy goes here. I get it, okay, yeah. But there wasn't a physical breakdown. And again, that's one of the things that I said it's a shame, because physically, I thought when our players did what they were supposed to do, and when it was man on man, I thought we did very well. But there was some confusion up front. So I think it can be a quick fix. I think it's just a matter of straightening a couple things out. And guys started, okay, well, my guy went away, so I thought they were twisting from here. Just don't let your imagination place a good decision. I mean, just stay within the system, block your guy. We have the theory, do your job. Don't try and block two of them, just do your job. When 11 guys do your job, we're going to be fine. So I do think it can be a quick fix once you put it on the film and show it to them.
Are there any players that may get a little more look, try to help bolster the running game or other assets of the? I mean, guys are on the too deep, but maybe
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of time yet.
Well, I mean, like a guy like Lindsey Lamar, I'd like to see him get the ball a little bit more with his speed and athleticism. We got to find out where Marcus Shaw is. He ran around today a little bit. Not full speed, ready to go yet, but I don't know if he's going to be ready to go by Saturday, but he's running around out there at practice. But I'd like to see, I'd like to see Lindsey Lamar get the ball a little bit more, especially in the open field. But I don't think anybody ran it real well Saturday. I mean, he had some opportunities even that he could have hit a couple. There weren't a whole lot of chances, but no, at this point, I mean, we've put in most of what we're doing. I mean, we have 2-back systems, 1-back systems, motion systems, but we've seen most everything at this point.
How do you get the pressure off of BJ Daniels?
We got to do a better job protecting him up front. I mean, we have to do that. I think it's unfair to ask him to stand in the pocket with 2 guys breathing down his neck and say you got to stand in there and just make this throw or that throw on a consistent basis. There are times you have to stand in there and take the hit. There are times that's what quarterbacks have to do. But I don't want it to be every time. And we've got to help him and take a little bit more pressure off of him. And we had 3 drops on the day, 4 drops. Andre had the uncharacteristic drop right before half on the sideline. Evan Landy, you talked about who's one of your surest-handed receivers. You want to throw the ball to on the goal line. Evan Landy would be one. We have a drop there. I mean, you look at it, all of a sudden you add another 50 yards to BJ's total and another touchdown. And maybe it's a different story. I mean, everybody's got to pick it up a little bit. BJ can get better too. There's some things that BJ can do better. But I think he's competing his tail off right now, and I think we got some people around him that really need to step their game up and help him.
Skip, I know that Elon and Greenville aren't that close together. Did you know Pete well when you guys were both coaching there?
Did. When you're in North Carolina, you interact quite a bit, whether that interaction is through recruiting and seeing them in schools, whether it's through spring practice and them coming to us going to them, knowing each other's staff, things like that. But yeah, I've known Pete for quite a while. He's an excellent football coach. He's had a lot of success everywhere he's been, and I think he'll do a great job at Ball State. And I think just watching their film and their improvement from year 1 to year 2, they've made some huge strides in a year's time. He's a good football coach.
It's been 5 years, but he came in here with Elon in 2007 and was only down 7-3 in the third quarter. Can that game have any relevance at all? I mean, he's at a different school. You're here now. Can that have any relevance? Just that he has the confidence knowing he's played he's coached a team against this team and held his own.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll probably be part of the motivating factor for his team, because to tell them they can win, I mean, and to get them believing as they come into the football game, that's part of what he's gonna do, part of what I'm gonna do. I mean, I'm sure he'll utilize it in that respect. As far as the big picture, once the ball gets on the tee, no, I don't think it will, but I do think, you know, you start looking at college football today, and, you know, anybody can beat anybody. You know, there weren't a whole lot of people that would have given Pitt a chance last week after their first 2 weeks. But you look at what Pitt goes and does. I mean, I don't think anybody can look past one to another or say, well, okay, we should beat them. A lot of people should beat somebody, but if you go out and you turn the ball over, it's an unbelievable equaling force in this football game when you turn it over and you make mistakes like that. I don't think you can take any of them for granted. I think we've got to get ready, and we've got to put 100% of our time, effort, and energy into this one. As tell the team, all we can do is Saturday, we're going to have one win or one loss. We can't win 2 games, and we can't lose 2 games. We're either going to have a win or a loss Saturday. Let's put all our efforts into what we got to do to get ready for that one right now.
You been to Muncie much?
I have been to Muncie. I've never played a football game there, but as a student at Notre Dame, I went down there a couple times. I don't know if we should tell those stories in this environment, but I have been to Muncie.
So it's that kind of place.
But it has been quite a while since I've been, and I probably saw different places of that campus then than I will this time. Thank y'all very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate